Fleeing from the Cylon tyranny, the Borgcast Galactica leads a ragtag fugitive fleet of feedbackers on a lonely quest for a shining drink known as beer. Hello, friends!
Hello!
Welcome to Borgcast Galactica 1.7, and today we're covering War of the Gods.
Yeah.
A.K.A. Count Ibley? In the same way, I can't hear that without thinking Cat saying Dwayne Dibley? I don't know why.
Whereas because of his voice, I completely went to a Count Duckula place.
Oh, right, yes.
Oh, nanny. It's just whoever it was who did the voice for... It was Igor, wasn't it?
Yes.
His voice is lower than Patrick McNee, but it's kind of similar, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yes. Sorry. So it's Count Duckula.
Right.
Whatever they are, they're coming right at us and fast.
They must be traveling at speeds beyond our comprehension.
Your people will be safe under my leadership. I've come to prepare your way to Earth.
And what kind of games do they play where you come from?
Games that would amaze you. You would hope that the humans have made so advanced a breakthrough?
The alternative is that we have encountered a new and more powerful force in the universe.
Apollo, don't ever make the mistake of threatening me again, or you'll forfeit your life.
So, you've got BJ and his mates from Silver Hair or whatever it is, Squadron.
Silver Fox Squadron, we decided
That was
it
it,
was.
Silver Fox Squadron.
Except that they weren't from... So you've got...
Porntash Man.
Yes, Jolly. Jolly, he wasn't from Silver Fox Squadron.
Originally, but they've moved him, I think.
Right.
Anyway, Porntash Man and BJ and the other one, they're out flying and they see these sort of spots in front of their eyes, and then they hear this music, and the things shoot past them and then come behind, and they're not on the scanners.
They're cheap as chips.
Yeah.
Lights. Wow. That's straight from Star Trek the Original Series
it's a bit...
playbook, isn't it, really?
It makes their instruments go all weird, and then they tractor BJ in.
Yeah, it's nice it isn't Apollo and Starbuck are out on patrol for a change and go missing, but on the basis these lot go missing for the entire story, 2 episodes worth, they weren't going to do that to Apollo and Starbuck, were they?
No.
You get your big hollow ship.
Which is it a hollow? You can't tell what it is. It's just shimmery, isn't it?
Yeah, but it just reminds me of the hollow ship out of Red Dwarf.
Oh, okay. Shimmery and pointy.
It's an interesting model. It's quite a good depth of detail when they do extreme close-ups on it, and there's lots of stuff to look at. But cool.
Yeah, reminded me a bit of a snowflake gone wrong. And then you have the guys playing Triad in their pants.
In their pants because they forgot their kit.
Oh man, it's terrible, terrible outfit things that are, man, just all kinds of wrong.
It's Triad, and it's the first and not the last appearance of this, and it'll also be in BSG as well.
But don't they call it Pyramid?
Yeah, that's right, because Pyramid's the card game, but then it gets called the ball game gets called Pyramid in BSG, I think. But anyway. May as well call it Blurn's Ball, because
makes as much sense.
It's got Ring of Roses as part of it for some reason.
It's the outfits, it's just every time.
Yeah, and I don't know whether this was in the midst of the popularity of the Harlem Globetrotters, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and then they're finding out that their mates have gone missing, and because she loves BJ, Sheba asked to go in the search party, and the problem's like, oh no, is that right? And then Starbuck's like, yeah, it is, fuck off.
Yes.
Basically, isn't he? Just So, the search party is Sheba and Starbuck and Apollo. Meanwhile, there's been a report of seismic activity. Anyway, they go and scan the planet and there aren't any life forms. They fly in the atmosphere and it's the planet of pink.
Yeah, they're using the negatives, the colour negatives, so green turns into red. Except they don't do it all the way through. It's really...
No, until they get to the crevasse and then it's all completely normal.
Yeah, and it's like, why? What's different here? Weird.
They were in the pink field of wrong, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Strawberry fields forever.
So then they get to the crevasse where this ship is and Patrick McNee appears.
Yes, the wreck ship's made of parts of a set that was created for 1980's Brave New World, which starred one Leonard Nimoy.
Oh.
You may have heard of.
I've heard of him. I've not heard of Brave New World.
No, to be honest, nor had I. But there you go.
And then he says that the radion field is interfering with their scanners, so they're not going to pick anything up from the ship. He says it's his ship and it's crashed. And then you get, where do you come from? And I was just earwormed all the time.
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
They're constantly asking him that, and he constantly dodging the question, isn't he? And he's dressed in white, rather counterintuitively, interestingly. So whether that's to try and make you think, oh, this might be a good guy, I don't know, but...
Wolf in sheep's clothing, kind of.
Yes, maybe.
Made me think of the Black Guardian and the White Guardian business in Doctor Who. Except they didn't have a mangled bird on their head.
No, and those were the White Guardian was the goody and
apart
Black
from
Guardian.
At the end when he was masquerading as the White Guardian.
Oh, yes.
He says, I can help you with your quest. Because the quest is the quest is the quest.
Yes.
And then they're like, what quest? And they can see that he's dodgy. Then the blobs fly by again with the noise. And Patrick Winnie says that they're looking for him. And he says his name is Count Ibley. From here on in, Count Duckula. And then you have Starbuck and Apollo, a debrief, and they don't trust him. And Adama wants him to have a full medical. But he hypnotises Sheba.
Trust in me, just in me.
Yeah, he pretty much says he's very creepy.
Oh, he is.
But he's supposed to be, I guess that's... But again, we've got another massive age gap going on here, haven't we?
Yeah.
Which, it wasn't always the man that was older. It wouldn't be so bad, but there we go.
Yeah. And he creates electrical interference wherever he goes.
Yeah, they are consistent with that as well, which is quite good.
And he pretends he knows Adama. He says, oh, someone must have mentioned you. And then he's like convinced her to give him a complete tour of the ship rather than just take him to quarters. And then she was like, but I just took him to where he felt comfortable. Ooh, yuck. Euphemism. And then, he says he knows all sorts, and they keep saying again, who are you? And where are you from?
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from?
Count Duckula or something. And then he says, but you'll be safe under my leadership. I've come to prepare the way to Earth. And he won't just submit to medical scans. So then they think he might be an android, which is a good call.
Yeah, interesting, yeah. Well, that's why he's not shown up on any of their instruments, yeah.
And then, again, he's with Sheba, and he says, I know you. And he does actually say, trust in me. And
this is on the aggro ship, which has made a return.
Yeah.
One remaining one. So, more excuse to show more silent running footage, I guess.
Yeah, and he says she'll see her father again. And then he says again, trust in me. And then he snogs her while those lights flip around. So then the pilots go in after the lights, and then they decide they're too slow, and the reason they're only seeing them as lights is because of how fast they're moving.
It's Bree, who's one of the pilots, who we haven't seen since Lost Planet of the Gods.
Oh, right. Jeez. Again, the ship takes them, and then you have Apollo and Starbuck with a debrief with Adama, and he's like, why didn't you mention these lights before? This could be connected, and you didn't think to mention it. And then you have Sheba going into the Triad Arena, because reasons, with Count Duckula, and I don't remember what happened because I kept looking at her purple boots and being jealous.
Yeah. Well, they have quite a long conversation, and they're talking about, do you have games where you come from? Oh, yes, games where life and death and, mysterious mystery, Okay. And then Apollo and Starbuck turn up to take him to Adama, but he doesn't like the fact that they're ordering him around, and he calls Sheba his princess, which is just, ugh.
And then I think this is this point where Apollo's like, you're going to come with me either as my guest or as my prisoner. And then Duckula says that Apollo will forfeit his life in a blink of an eye, and you're beginning to see some of his true colours. And then he's sitting down around a table and he's moving stuff with telekinesis.
He's got force powers! Ooh.
Yeah. And he's like, I'll come and lead you, and you can give me free tests, and if I pass them, then you'll let me lead you. And Adama's like, yeah, we'll think about it. And then you've got Lucifer telling Baltar about these lights and saying, Baltar's like, well, it must be a technological breakthrough for the humans. And Lucifer's like, yeah, that would be good. And Baltar's like, what do you mean it'd be good? And Lucifer's like, well, either that or it's a really, really powerful life form that we haven't come across before.
This is sadly Lucifer's last appearance of the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, Abu. Boltar's still blaming Adama for everything.
Pretty much. And then you have the aggro ships start multiplying. He goes to where the sort of the poor people are, and they're going, if you're a miracle, give us more food. And he's like, well, don't you want more than that? And they're like, no, we just want food. And then he's saying, look what I can give you that Adama can't, and all the rest of it. And he's like, look, I'll show you. And then all the aggro ships, just sort of, the amount of food on them is multiplying massively.
It's aggro ship, though. There isn't more than one.
Okay. And then there are some women, you notice now, on the Council of 12.
Yes, that's a positive change, isn't it?
And he just walks in and says, I know what three tests you decide. Well, I know the test you decided on. The first one is you want your enemy brought to you. The second one is you want to find the way to Earth. And you haven't decided on the third one yet. So I'll give you the first one before you decide anything else.
So who can pee the highest up the wall?
Why?
I don't know, but that was a thing at school.
Right. Okay. And then you have Baltar saying that he's going to go to the Galactica, and he's going because he's scared of Patrick Whitney. He's scared of Count Duckula. But of course they see it as they've delivered their enemy unto him.
Yeah, all this nonsense about him being their enemy. I mean, all right, yes,
shouldn't that be the Cylons?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, okay, he's part of the enemies they're facing, but to be brutally honest, the Cylons have generally done a lot better without Baltar.
I know.
So, you know, maybe delivering the Imperious leader would have been a bit more impressive, but presumably it's all predicated on the fact that Iblis knows somehow that Baltar's going to turn up. So he says, I will bring you Baltar. And if somebody gone, no, we don't want that idiot. You bring us somebody more threatening like Imperious leader and we'll believe you. You might be a bit stuck then.
I think it is. I think that's, he knows that he's aware of Baltar as well, and he's like, well, I can give them Baltar kind of thing. That's what I think it is. Mm-hmm. But I just sat there thinking, no, they want loads of dead Cylons, thanks.
Yeah.
Wipe them out. All of them.
That should have been it.
Yeah. He's a bit shit as an evil emperor, isn't he, really, Count Duckula?
Well, he's all mysterious at this stage. There's lots of sort of, who could this be, and how's he doing these things, and blah, blah, blah.
And I just love Apollo in this. Apollo's all like, I don't care, he's a twat.
Yeah, Apollo's not impressive from the very first stage, is he? But, yeah. And it's not great that Sheba's kind of, he's so lovely.
Oh. And it's... I get that in those days they never would have done a guy being attracted to him in that way, but could they not have done him being hero worshipped?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but it's icky and wrong, and I don't like it.
I mean, Iblis needs to be creepy, but not in that way. As far as I'm concerned, that's a level of creepiness that doesn't add to his mystery at all.
But he should be like a clown or something, sinister rather than dodgy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that only works if you find clowns sinister.
They are.
Yeah, I know you do, but
and the Doctor
the
Doctor agrees.
What Doctor?
Sylvester McCoy, the 8th Doctor.
Oh.
No, sorry, 7th Doctor.
Right, okay. So that's proof conclusive that everybody thinks clowns are creepy then.
Because he agrees afterwards when he walks away from the greatest show in the galaxy.
Not everybody finds clowns creepy, otherwise clowns wouldn't be part of entertainment, would they?
I presume people find them entertaining for their creepiness.
No.
Oh. Have other people not watched Dumbo? Because the clowns are creepy in Dumbo as well. Clowns are wrong.
Clowns can be creepy, but they're not inherently creepy for most people. I know there are some people who do find them inherently creepy like yourself, but that doesn't work for everybody. Anyways.
Find me someone who likes them.
Right, I don't dislike them. I can't get very excited about them, but I mean, they're not really a thing anymore, but they were back in the day. Lots of people liked them back in the day. Why are we talking about clowns so much? Is that, a comment on the state of this episode, possibly?
Yeah, quite. But no, it's just that the way that clowns are uncanny, that is what this character should be like. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether that's the way Patrick McNee is playing it, or the way it's written, directed, or a combination. I'm not sure.
He's playing it very strangely.
It's not right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and maybe he's going for an earthly and mysterious, but it's just coming off as
dodgy.
He's reading his lines wrong.
Yeah, it's not right. But then you don't know whether that's because of the way it's written, or the way it's directed, or it's the acting, or a combination. But it isn't.
And he's got like this faraway look in his eyes, which may be him trying to play that, you know, Iblis, this character from another dimension. Or it may just be he'd rather not be here.
Why
am I in this cheap series?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
I was in the Avengers, you know. Quality television.
You put Michael Ansara in that sort of role.
Oh, he would have been brilliant, yeah. That's who they should have had.
Because he's got the commanding presence bit.
Yeah. I mean, there is a really good reason for using Patrick Rooney, as we find out in part 2. But unfortunately, his choices are very odd. Because we know he can act fine. It's just he's playing it very strange, but not strange in a threatening way.
Yeah, it's wrong strange.
Yeah, it's am I on the right set strange?
It's, you know, I've forgotten to take my medication and ended up in the wrong place, kind of. I don't know. It's weird. There's like, you can be weird in all sorts of different ways, and it depends on the context whether it's the right sort of weird. This is the wrong sort of weird for this story and for this character.
Yes, but hey, it could all be redeemed by part 2. Aside, it isn't.
No.
Anyway, let's find out what other people think of part 1.
Yes,
we've heard from the Llama God.
Okay then, here is my speech record for this Warren's twin segment drama record, War of Gods and Hate of Men. No, we've done that. So this starts off not entirely all that promisingly. Well, a bit mixed really. We have the Viper Squadrons being attacked by unconvincing special effects and replying with some unconvincing action. I mean, I'm not sure, is that BJ, the bear guy, is that him from the Pegasus? Is he hanging around in the cockpit and leading the flight squadron overacting? Because I wasn't a fan of that at all. On the plus side, we do get to see Sheba, and we get mentioned the Pegasus later, so it's nice to see that Sheba's transferred over properly, and we're getting a little bit of continuity from previous episodes. That's a little bit nice, but definitely a very dodgy start to the episode. Not the most promising. Stock footage and bad special effects. That's not great. And then we go to a slice of life on the Galactica, where we see that the crew are apparently enacting a soft porn sequence. Well, okay, they're not. We've been introduced to the Galactican sport of Triad, which is very different and nothing at all like Earth sports, because instead of just pushing balls through holes, they are wearing kinky bondage gear while they're doing it. So yeah, I mean, we've said before about how this series appears to be surprisingly non-sexist when it comes to both men and women into revealing outfits, and this episode carries on that trend quite nicely. We get to see a lot of man flesh on display there, so yay for everyone who appreciates that kind of thing. But this jollity is not to last, as the Viper pilots have to be sent off to the planet from Survival, where they meet up with Anthony Ainley and some hapless Rada extras who are covered in car seat covers. No, not that. An interesting effect that they go for with the alien planet, where they're doing the whole inverted colours thing, but it's also very odd that when it comes to the crash ship, that they don't carry on that effect. I found that very, very odd and very distracting. That said, the crash ship itself, though, was impressive. You know, once again, they seem to be doing good work when it comes to locations, and this time we're not in a western and we're not in a castle, so yay to them for actually having built a small set, admittedly in the Californian hills, but still, never mind. And we find the charismatic Count Wibbly, whoever he was, and he's definitely a bizarre fellow, and this is where the story comes along. Now, this is a bit of a dodgy story, really, because there's a number of questionable aspects to it. Obviously, he's got his mind powers to control everyone, and I would say, why aren't people noticing this? But obviously, yeah, they're under mind control, and that's fine. What is questionable is the way that he's able to seduce all the women as well. On returning to the Galactica, he managed to pull with Cassiopeia and Sheba, and that's just ooh and icky. Not quite on the same level as Lloyd Bridges from a couple of Warrens ago, but it's still quite dodgy. But at least we know that he is at least some sort of malevolent, or not necessarily beneficent force, who's using his mind control powers, so you can get away with him with that. And McNee is at the very least charismatic, and he's interesting to watch, especially when he's trying to convince Adama that he should take over control of the fleet for the good of everyone. So yeah, he seems like he's going to do good, but he's very questionable, and that's interesting. What is more interesting, though, is how this first drama segment actually resolves itself with Baltar, who seems to have been permanently deprived of his high chair now. Was he a really bad boy? Did he keep really, really falling, giving himself an ouchie? So yeah, but Baltar is suddenly possessed of the idea to go and surrender to the Galactica, where he surrenders to the Council of 12, which now apparently includes women, so that's an interesting one there as well. So obviously they had a bit of a rethink when it comes to gender balancing, so good for the Galactica crew. And yeah, that is quite a cliffhanger really, with Baltar being brought before the 12. Finally, their arch nemesis has been captured by a guy who can pull women on demand and can make trees grow at a whim. So yeah, there's definitely nothing dodgy going on there, is there? So yeah, I mean, much as I say this episode started off rather shakily on the one hand, on the other hand, it does build up a nice sense of mystery with who Count Wibbly actually is and what he's actually there to do. And sleazy as some of his actions are in the fleet, he is performing the general role of a godlike being who's obviously come to create mischief or something, or with ulterior motives that we don't yet know. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to find out what he's actually going to be up to and what his actual ulterior motives are. So yeah, I'm going to assume that all these questions will be answered conclusively in the next drama segment.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yes, it was Bojay at the start.
Yeah, and I don't know, has Baltar been a naughty boy, bad boy, no high chair?
Yeah, it's gone. It's broken. It's the cutbacks, I think. Yeah. And I keep being reminded of Rimmer's how to date women through hypnosis. It's all the Red Dwarf stuff that's hitting me about the story.
Also, didn't Rimmer, when he went cuckoo, didn't he have his finger was Count Bibley the something or other, wasn't it?
No, it was Mr. Wibble the penguin, wasn't it? Or something like that?
That was Batang, where's my thwibble? What was that one?
Oh, I can't remember. Maybe we need to be watching Red Dwarf at some stage.
Yeah,
but there
probably,
we go.
yes. But yeah, and it was a bit like the Planet from Survival, but I was taken out of it the moment they went to the crash site that wasn't like that, same as you were.
Yeah, without their negative colour.
Yeah.
It's very odd they didn't do it for that bit.
Very odd.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Who else we heard from?
We've heard from Ol.
Hello, Peter and Anne-Marie. It's Ol here, and I'm here to talk about War of the Gods Part 1, which I thought was a bit slow, I'll be honest. We've got some interesting things happening with all those flashing lights and Viper pilots disappearing. There are questions being asked, but not much is being resolved in this one. The pilots who disappear off at the beginning. I noticed that Jolly seems to have transferred to Bojay's Silver Spar Squadron, and Sheba's not in Silver Spar Squadron. She's in Blue Squadron. Maybe it's a sort of they're mixing up the pilots from the different battle stars. Would make some sort of sense. Although you'd think that Sheba, as the overall fighter commander on the Pegasus, would be given her own squadron rather than playing second fiddle to Apollo, except that, of course, she's the pretty one, so she has to be one of our regulars now. But anyway, Silver Spar Squadron are AWOL. They got turned into something or other. We haven't seen what's happened to them, but there was a sort of glowy, crystally thing, so, presumably something exciting has happened. And to try and find them, we go down to a planet where we meet Patrick Macnee being weird. Now, Patrick Macnee's been in this series from the beginning in an odd way, because he's the voice of the Imperious leader and he does the voiceover at the beginning, which I always thought was an odd choice, because are we supposed to think that it's Patrick Macnee playing the Imperious leader doing the voiceover? Is that what we're supposed to take from it? I don't know. Or is it this new Count Iblis character? But time will maybe tell on that one. It could be him, I guess, but I vaguely remember that it definitely isn't. From last time I watched it, so we'll see what happens. But there's the questions of what happened to him, and there's a crashed spaceship on the planet where they find him, and was he on that spaceship, or is there something else going on? He says he's an alien from a highly advanced race, but I don't know if that's true or not, or if there's something else happening. Sheba seems to be almost under his spell, which is a shame. I think it would have been nice if she'd been a bit more independent, and maybe one of the boys could have been following him around with the big puppy dog eyes, Boomer or Starbuck or whatever. But anyway, it is what it is. Sheba's the one who's completely taken in by him, and maybe she's got residual daddy issues, so it makes a degree of sense that she'd be the one to latch on to the older man who comes across as authoritative and wants to be a leader. I guess it is logical that she'd be the one who'd go for that. Skipping back, of course, I've forgotten the opening game of Triad, where Apollo and Starbuck and Boomer and some bloke we've never seen before, or if we have seen him before, I didn't remember him, all dress up as He-Man for playing a version of basketball that they're not very good at, because they kept sort of bouncing the ball around and not getting it in the hole. And I don't know, I've seen professional sports and they seem to be quite good at getting balls in little holes. So I'm not sure whether we're supposed to think these guys are amateur, or if they are as good as they're supposed to be, then maybe it's a really hard game and there's something like more to it than just like ball in hole. I don't know. But either way, those outfits are ridiculous, and if you thought that the leather undercover gear was a bit too kinky, I dread to think what you made of that lot. Anyway, I don't think there's much else to say about this. Count Iblis obviously a bit dodgy, but we'll find out what's going on with him next week. Oh, and Boltar's turned up on the Galactica at last for some sort of random showdown for no good reason. So, that's nice. But I'm going to watch the next episode now, and we'll see what happens. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, you would think that they would be good at getting balls in holes.
Mm-hmm. But apparently not. Perhaps there's air that's pumped out of the holes that stop the balls going in sometimes. I don't know. There must be more to this game than just getting the ball in the hole, surely. But then there's not an awful lot to football when you think about it, so...
No, and they all dress up as He-Man. It is
a
bit, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Particularly with the crossover things,
isn't
it? Yeah.
Over their chests.
Yeah.
Yes. I give a good point. Sheba's no longer in command of her own squadron. Boo. That's
and
not good.
Bojay has been promoted then, presumably.
Yeah, because he was under her. And
yeah, so she should be promoted.
What's going on? And she does say at one point that Ibley reminds her of her dad.
Yeah.
But then that takes you onto a whole creepy area that you don't want to think about, really, do you? Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica, what are we going to do with you?
Put it in the bin.
It's not that bad. It's just it's got these flaws that are icky.
Yes.
Anyway, on to part 2.
You have been found guilty of treason against the state.
Oh, remove him. I know you. I remember that voice. Who is attacking us?
Starbuck, it's so loud, I can't stand it!
The key is to be found in that ship that crashed on the planet where you discovered Ibley.
Starbuck, what are you doing?
Stay back!
What is it you found?
Yeah, but you don't want to go in there.
So welcome to the ham counter. We've got Sire Montrose.
Right.
Yes, he's played by John Williams, not that one. And this was his last role before his death in 1983 at the age of 80.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, and he's making the most of his role here, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
He declares Bolter is to be sentenced to life imprisonment. So at least they don't appear to have the death penalty, which is kudos to the colonies, I guess. He's been guarded. Bolter's been guarded by the derpiest guy I've ever seen, who stands there like, why am I here? Of course, Kolokos is not short of a pork chop or two as he rails against being arrested, having come under a flag of truce repeatedly. I mean, honestly, what did he expect, having been behind mass genocide? Everybody's going to welcome him, with open arms. Anyway, Ibley uses force powers to make Boltar kneel before Zod. That's a bit of a mixed geek metaphor, I know, but never mind.
Yes.
And Sire Ham, as I'm going to call him, he refers to Council 12 as the Quorum. Now, isn't the Quorum supposed to have 4 people?
No. This
is the Quorum of the Council of 12, and it's like, well, that's not 12, is it, Quorum?
Well, Quorum is to be quorate.
Yes, that's to have enough members to vote, isn't it?
Yeah,
which is a quarter, isn't it?
It depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, but I think that's what it originated from, hence Quorum, 4. Okay. So I don't quite understand where the 4 comes from on this one. Anyway, he's rushing to get Ibley elected as president, which would then make it a council of 13, of course.
13!
Oh, it's just... Anyway, it's the first time we've seen the Council of 12 since Saga of the Star World, which is a bit bizarre. I remember them being in it a lot more and being a thorn in Adama's side a lot more, but no. Then Ibley goes and visits Boltar and Choki and calls him an old friend. Boltar goes, I remember you. He rightly points out that Ibley has the voice of the silent Imperious leader, since, as we've established, he provided that voice as well. So that's kind of the logic using him, I guess. Just a shame he played it so strangely. Boltar's worked out that Ibley is an organic Cylon, one of the original creatures that produced the robots.
Shouldn't he look like a lizard then?
Apparently not in this case, yeah. Human-looking Cylons, that'll never catch on, will it? But anyway, it's nice to be getting more backstory, I guess, so that's a good thing, even if it doesn't completely add up. All is not lost, Ibley tells him as he walks through a wall. Wow. Okay.
Have you noticed that, like, the door wall thing of the prison is like a cheese grate?
Yeah, it's got big holes in it.
Yeah.
That's not good, is it? People could be passing him all sorts of things.
I know.
Strange design. It makes it look like a bank counter to me, but there we go.
Yeah, it reminded me really of a cheese grater. It's like, I suppose if you're bored, you could try putting various things in different orifices, couldn't you?
Okay, you're saying that the prison cells are basically plastered with glory holes?
Yeah.
Wow. Some people are desperate to be locked up in the prison barge. God.
Sorry.
Right, I'll move on with whatever dignity we have left with this podcast. Although dignity isn't a word you associate with Triad, it has to be said.
No.
Ibley has predicted Boomer's team will win, and Apollo isn't playing as he has fellow pilots missing, which is, good for motivation, fair enough. Adama, though, talks him into playing as Ibli has so much support.
No, it's sport. You must
sports
play.
Ball. You must play your sports ball.
It is the sport. It is the sport. It must be played.
It's all about the winning.
Yes, it is the sport.
You'd think he'd be talking to Boomer to get him to throw the match, really, if he was that concerned. But, Instead, Boomer agrees to let Ibli help him win by being inside him or something.
We're back to them glory.
We are back to the glory. After the game, we get some funky disco music on the Rising Star. As
they're fucking
partying
dancing with skipping ropes. What the fuck is this?
I don't know, but it is a scene that's worth skipping, if you'll excuse the pun. Yes.
Oh, just... Yeah.
He's also... Ibli's also arguing for polygamy, so he's definitely a Mormon then.
Yeah.
Needless to say, this impresses Starbuck. Ooh, poor women. Anyway, the lights have returned, and a lot of the crew now have OD'd on pleasure, apparently.
They've got wankitis. It's all them glory.
They can't report to duty because they've got...
wankitis.
Yes, strained wrists. Anyway, Apollo blames Ibli, and the Count threatens to get Adama sacked. Ibli claims the laws of God do not apply to him. Have you guessed who it is yet? Boomer fires at one of the lights, but then the hollow ship absorbs him, so he's having a good day. Starbuck and Apollo argue for ditching Ibli, but Adama points out that he's too popular. Dr. Wilker, remember him? Yeah, he's back from Saga of the Star World as well. Him that created Muffet. We've got so much to thank him for, haven't we? He points out the lights have sped up the growth of their plants. That's funny, isn't it? A lot more light, more growth. Well, they're strange, glittery space pears, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong. Yeah.
Adama is showing off his force powers. He's claiming he was part of a men who stare at goats type experimental unit in the army or something.
I know.
You seen that film? Did we watch it together?
Yes.
Oh my, that's such a weird film.
It is. It's very odd. Yes.
He claims he cheesed Mrs. Adama off bending spoons Uri Geller style. There's fun nights never ended at the Adama household, didn't they? Sat there staring at his spoon for now. His wife complains it's gone all bendy. I think you can judge how our week has gone by the smuttiness of this podcast. Anyway, he's jumped to the conclusion that the lights are angels, because obviously, I think he's been watching Star Trek Discovery, personally.
Yeah.
He tells Apollo to go back to the crashed ship to investigate, and Starbuck tags along on the basis that Ibli would read his mind and know if he stayed. Okay. Back aboard the Valley Forge, Sheba is hanging out with Ibli when he realises where Apollo is off to and challenges Adama over it, making threats to a life more important to him than his own. Ba ba ba. You think, I thought initially he was going to be making threats towards Boxy, because clearly that would really upset Adama, but no, it turns out to be Sheba instead, who we only recently met, so it's a bit odd.
I thought it meant Apollo.
No, it's Sheba, because Apollo gets in the way, but the target was Sheba.
Oh, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
No, we do see Rigel, who we've not seen in ages, and she reports they've lost Ibli. Ty says that Sheba has gone after the others, and Adama's figured out that that's where Ibli's gone to. Starbuck and Apollo look in the wreckage of the ship, and the music tells us they've found something bad, but we don't get to see it.
So what do you think it is?
Well, I know what it is, because I read the notes.
Oh.
It was going to be the bodies of cloven-hoofed creatures, apparently.
Okay.
Yes. So that would have been kind of underlining his demonic, devil-like...
See. Not men who stare at goats again. It wasn't a load of goats.
No.
So they have cloven hooves.
They do, and yes, the devil is, interestingly, often, depicted as being half man, half goat, but no.
And he's not goatsy.
It's no. Anyway, this scene was either cut for the satanic reference or because it looked rubbish, depending on who you believe, apparently. They initially try and shield Sheba from the sight, but Starbuck sensibly says that she should see it, because it'll presumably make her realise that Ibli's a bad one. But then Ibli turns up in full dramatic pose with flashes of lightning, declaring he forbids it. He tells Sheba that... You're mine! But there's no word on whether she's his favourite waste of time. He calls her over, like one would a pet dog, which is nice. Apollo tries to get her to snap out of it and says he knows who Ibli is! It's the devil! Ba ba ba. He shoots Satan, who is revealed to have a sort of piggy face for some reason. It's a bit odd. It's not what you kind of associate with the devil very often, it has to be said.
I thought it was supposed to be like a jackal head.
Yeah, well, often, but not in this case, no.
It's a bad jackal head, or it's jackal mixed with
pigs
pig?
in space in this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Iblis zaps Apollo back with a lightning beam. He'd been targeting, as I say, Sheba, but Apollo unconvincingly sort of moves in the way and kills him! Apollo's dead! Aside, he isn't. Well, he is, but he won't be for very long. Starbuck tries to avenge his friend's death, though Pendydick's acting isn't quite up to the task at this point, sadly. No. Sheba refuses to come to the count as a result of his murdering ways, and the lights turn up again. Apparently he's broken a rule. I'm not supposed to talk about Fight Club or something, I don't know.
We'll meet again.
He promises and disappears. Wow, he should have just swelled his cape at this point and twirled his moustache, really, shouldn't he? Transporting Apollo's body back, they're attacked by the lights and absorbed into the holoship. And this is where it gets really weird.
Very.
Yeah, Starbuck wakes up in a white version of his costume, like he's, advertising new biological Baz or whatever. It's very strange. He's surrounded by veiled and robed insubstantial women who speak with a very deep male voice, while spooky music plays. There's lots of Vaseline on the screen to make everything glint.
You sure that's Vaseline?
Yeah, oh, don't. Is that why? But it's white. Oh, really? Yeah. And they're trying to cover up the fact that it's just basically this set is loads of curtains. It's not good.
No.
Are they angels?
No.
Well, they kind of admit they are, apparently. And they take Starbuck and Sheba to Apollo's body. They say he's special.
So special.
And sacrificed himself for others. They're not saying he's Jesus, that's for others to say. Then we don't have a great performance here from Anne Lockhart, either. Yeah, all very blubby and snotty-nosed. Because Starbuck and Sheba are willing to sacrifice themselves for Apollo, the angel people, strange things, bring Apollo back to life. Yeah, it's sort of 2 weeks too early we're covering this, really, because, if we managed to make this our Easter episode, it would have been a lot better, wouldn't it? But never mind.
Oh.
The angels say that they're the future form of the colonials. Okay. And that Iblis is indeed a fallen member of their race. Yeah, well, that explains that one then.
And then they say he'll suffer a punishment of our choosing. And you're like, but what is that, though? Is it...
Yeah. And, like, how they're going to catch up with him and you never see him again and... Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
weird.
think a bit of the Q, actually. They punished Q.
They did, yes. Star Trek did this a lot better, didn't it? Yes. Yeah. But in that case, they weren't angelic beings, because, clearly Roddenberry wasn't going to buy into that. But instead, they're, super powerful beings, wherever this lot are apparently supposed to be angels.
Or something. But they remind me more
They're nowhere scary looking enough to be angels.
And it's not just that, if anything, and I think it's the set dressing that put me in the mind of this, combined with everything else. Whatever it is that Sarah Green plays in Doctor Who.
Oh, the Cryons.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, for the Ice Planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in a very sort of rushed ending, to be honest, the heroes are all returned, including Boomer and the others. I mean, there's no sight of Bojay or Jolly or anything like that. They're back, apparently, but, well, we hope they are, but, yeah. They must be because everybody's celebrating or something. But they've got no memory of events, except vague impressions of lights and sounds of goodness and purity. Right.
That makes me think of Encounter of Farpoint.
And they also know the course to Earth, suddenly. So that's that one solved. Hooray! Off to Earth we go! Perhaps. Except nobody says set course or anything.
And also, they start saying it, slightly confused. It's like, did anyone write that down?
Yeah, quick. Do they still remember it? Has it gone in a flash? Yeah. And it's really weirdly shot, this bit as well, because they're standing behind the Dharma. He's not looking at them. He's kind of looking ahead, not directly into the camera, obviously, but and then it freeze frames of him there with his drink, looking all thoughtful and where's this information come from? Ba-ba-ba. So they're saved from the devil by angels. Yeah. I mean, the promising aspects of the two parts are there's the way in which Ibli is getting the people away from Adama and stuff. It's that. Well, it's becoming a bit of a trope, isn't it? Because we've kind of had that happen before, haven't we? But the fact that he's so odd doesn't convince you that people will be falling in behind him. No. Beyond the fact that apparently he has hypnotic eyes because he's been reading Rimmer's book. Yeah,
it's like I said, that I think what it is the performance isn't charismatic enough.
No, which is strange because Patrick Macnee can be, charismatic,
but he isn't here.
He just played it as a avuncular uncle, even, which is kind of his default. That would have been good, and you could see why people were being charmed and interested in him. But here he's just odd.
Yeah,
and the resolution with it, the angel things, is just.
And at one point,
cheesy.
They actually say they will turn up with plausible explanations.
Yes, that's a wonderful line, isn't it? It's like, what? the other missing pilots will turn up with plausible explanations. Like, what were they going to be? I just got. Why would you just disappear off the radar for 2 episodes and then turn up again? What possible excuse could you have? I forgot my keys. We got lost.
I was on a bender.
Yeah. We broke down and had to wait for the AA. I mean, what is going to be a plausible explanation for this?
I don't know.
So this is like the first disappointing 2-parter, I think, because all the other 2-parters have been good. But this one's just weird.
Yes.
And unsatisfying. But hey-ho.
Yeah, and it has dancing with skipping ropes.
But then we had a good single-parter, so perhaps things have turned round now. And the dancing with skipping ropes. Oh, it's like the weird balls in Buck Rogers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently the dancing with skipping ropes comes up in Buck Rogers at one point as well.
Oh. Okay.
I do love the way that David Hatch is just so unconvincingly dancing with his, like, why am I doing this? Yeah. I had a career. Where's my agent? I'm going to throttle him with this damn skipping rope.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's not great.
No.
But what did other people think?
We've heard from Doreen, who writes, "This was intriguing, but the effects are really showing their age. I often found myself seeing the parallels between this and Discovery at the moment, like the planet with the red foliage. And then they started to talk about aliens.
Yeah.
So was Count Iblis Satan? Is Mephistopheles another name for the devil?
It is, yes.
I think the celestial music annoyed me.
Oh, yeah, it's rubbish.
It was annoying, yeah. I wasn't at all impressed by Starbuck's acting after Apollo died.
No, it was appalling, wasn't it? He can't do emotional at all.
No. I said, I don't like Sheba. She was simpering in this one.
She was at the end, yeah, and falling for Iblis wasn't great either.
I liked the storyline. At various moments I thought it was going to offend me, but it never quite did.
No, it's too weird to offend anybody other than possibly Mormons. I don't know if they got the Mormon stuff wrong. That might have annoyed them, but
possibly. But I don't know. Maybe they got that bit right.
Yeah, maybe that's spot on for Mormonism.
We don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Experts on Mormonism, let us know, please. We also heard from Jeff. What a weird couple of episodes. Yeah. Hell yeah. So John Steed is literally Satan. Yeah, that's how it ends up. And Adama has weird telekinetic powers.
I know.
Yes. Which he's never told anybody before.
Does it ever come up again?
I'd be amazed if it does. What was the point of all this?
I don't know.
Why did it require 2 parts?
They didn't have 2 parts of plot, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I did like the odd colour effects when they were on the mysterious planet. That was an interesting concept. Yes, it would have been if they kept to it.
Reminded me a bit of Star Trek 5.
Yes, but Star Trek 5 is better and more consistent. I also like the white versions of the pilot uniforms they were wearing on board Spaceship Heaven. Patrick Macnee seemed to be having fun playing the supremely oily Count Iblis. Well, I don't know. I got the impression he didn't want to be there. Yeah. The light ball zipping around reminded me of a similar effect from the baffling movie The Day Time Ended, that the Black Dog covered in the fairly recent past. Anyway, that movie also left me in a state of bewilderment, yes. I guess Apollo, Adama's oldest begotten son, is a Christ analogue. He interposed himself for Sheba, died and was resurrected. Or maybe I've just been thinking about Easter coming up. Yep, we timed this not so well. Well, whatever Glenn A. Larson was on when he wrote this must have been good stuff. Maybe if I'd been chemically enhanced while watching it, I may have got more out of this story. Oh, maybe. Thanks for the great podcast and indulging my confused ramblings. That's all right. We're as confused as you are at the moment, to be honest.
On this one, certainly. What did Ol make of this?
Hello, everybody. I'm just back from watching War of the Gods Part 2, which picked up the pace a bit. We resolved the Boltar thing reasonably quickly. Boltar recognised just as I did that Patrick McNee's been playing the Imperious leader all this time, which is, good of him. Although the explanation as to why he might be there is a bit weirder than you might expect. I thought that prison scene, though, Boltar's now banged up in jail and Ibli comes and visits him, but then turns out not to have been there at all. And, the idea of Boltar on the Galactica with someone in his head that only he can see and talk to, that's a really interesting idea. I wonder if we'll ever revisit that. Speaking of revisiting things, later on we get some Triad again, so more He-Man cosplay. Lovely. Nothing kinky going on there at all, honest gov. But it's pretty inconsequential. Yeah, the blue team gets to win because Ibli decrees it. Well, whatever. I'm not that interested in real sport. I don't see why I should be interested in fake sport. But the real kicker is when Apollo and Starbuck go off to the planet where they found Ibli and look in his crashed spaceship, and it turns out he's the devil, with a natty special effect when you try and shoot him. Which, yeah, did we need the devil in this? I don't know. A bit odd, I'll be honest. It's not really where I would have gone with the whole thing, but there have been so many religious overtones to this series that I guess it makes a degree of thematic sense, so it's hard to hold it against it. We also get the flashing lights turn out to be angels, so that's nice. So sort of highly advanced aliens taking the form of angels or devils and mucking around with the lives of sort of the younger races. That's an interesting idea. I wonder if another series might make use of that down the line. Interesting. And yeah, the angels, I'll be honest, they're a bit tedious. The stuff with Ibli on the planet's interesting, and he decides to kill Sheba, and then Apollo jumps in the way of the lightning bolt or whatever it was and gets killed, and that's what undoes Ibli's power. That's really good, and that's all exciting and fine. I kind of wish we'd got to see inside the spaceship to see whatever it was that was so compelling, but, whatever. I suppose not seeing was a lot easier than showing. But after that, they're flying back to the Galactica and they bump into the angels, and it's a bit just boring from that point on. That, yeah, Apollo comes back to life, but it's not a great surprise because I don't think anyone really thought that Apollo was going to be permanently properly dead. And so the angels just witter on about being nice to people and self-sacrifice, and then everything's back to how it was before all of this started. It's all right. I think it's one of the weaker two-parters we've had so far, and I actually kind of feel that we could have crammed this into... It might have been a really, really full single episode, but I reckon you could have crammed it into a single episode rather than going for this two-part and spinning it out, which is what I think we got. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure to feed back to you today, and I will look forward to listening to the podcast. I always do, and I will speak to you next time with the best of luck. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there are some B5 parallels there,
No,
aren't there?
there are, yes. And Boltar, of course, is left to rot in prison. I'd kind of forgotten that, but yes, that's where he is now. Whether they'll pick up on him, maybe that's presumably why then we don't see Lucifer again.
Yeah, I think so. And it could have been a single episode.
Yes, I think it would have been better as a single episode. Whether it would have been less confusing is another matter, but...
Well, hopefully they'd ditch the fucking triad.
Yeah, possibly, yes.
Take that away, and take away this obvious padding. You've got one episode there, haven't you?
Arguably. What did the Llama God make of Part 2?
Okay then, so the concluding drama segment, and we have to ask ourselves, what? I mean, okay, are we actually returning to biblical themes here? I mean, because that could answer something. Is this actually the temptation in the wilderness, the trials of Satan in the desert, or something like that? There's kind of things like that. This isn't exactly the story of Job or anything, and maybe from the Book of Mormon, there's something even weirder than that in there, so who knows, but getting a little bit biblical with this time, aren't they? But this is quite an interesting conclusion, not quite as satisfying as I was hoping for, but a few things are answered about Count Bibli, mainly that he he's just definitely odd. I think that's the conclusion we come to. He's odd. What is great to see in this episode is Colicos. Colicos is on great form here, and so is McNee, and so is Lorne Green. I mean, the three of them are on fantastic form, especially in any scenes where they go to play off against each other are just superb, and that's really what carries a lot of this episode through. Even with the high concepts, because the high concepts don't seem to be very well thought out. They're just a bit really sketchy, really. What I did love was that very early on is that Walter calls out the fact that Patrick McNee obviously did voice the Imperious leader in the pilot episode, and the fact that he recognises that voice, and it's not just a case of, oh, we're just using another actor in the same role. We're actually getting some sort of continuity here, or in as much as Galactica does continuity. And that was a really fascinating insight. So are we led to believe that Wibbly, whatever he is, Satan, something like that, some sort of malicious sprite, I don't know, was he actually the one behind the Cylon War? Was he behind the near genocide of humanity? Was that all at his instigation? Did he possess the Imperious leader? Because the Imperious leader that we saw on Gamora definitely didn't speak with the same voice, and I thought that was just because they couldn't afford McNee all the time. But is this some sort of cunning master plan they've got going? And this is very, very interesting. But unfortunately, and frustratingly, we don't actually find out in this episode. We also get some really weird tidbits, like we learn that Adama has learned to become a Jedi, and the rest of the fleet are overdosing on pleasure. So, obviously if there's too much pleasure, then obviously if Bibley's causing this, then he's going to be a bad guy, because too much pleasure is bad, suffering is much better. But yes, there's definitely some typical classical themes going through there. And the actual reveal on the planet, where Bibley kills Apollo. I mean, obviously no one for a second believes that he's actually going to be dead for very long. I mean, okay, admittedly we have had some deaths, and Serena was the one we weren't expecting, but for the main star, I wasn't expecting to be killed off, and not being disappointed, he is brought back to life. On Krypton, that's another interesting design choice that they went with there. Aside from that, the fleet get back all their warriors, including BJ. Oh well, never mind. We don't really get much of a sense of conclusion from this episode, aside from the fact is that we do get a map or a guidance of the direction, the location of Earth. And I'm pleased to see that whoever the aliens are, whatever this force is, they are not Pluto deniers, so yeah, I'm already on their side with that. Yes, Pluto's a planet. Stop trying to talk Pluto down. It's just as valid as any other planet that's listed on them. Thank you very much. But yeah, we don't really get a lot of conclusion. Yes, Bibley is clearly some sort of satanic, demonic force, but we never find out anything to do with what actually happened with Baltar. We don't find out what's actually going on. It's just very, very strange. They encounter a presence, and then they get rid of the presence. And yeah, I mean, as I said, definitely an enjoyable couple of drama segments, but at the same time slightly baffling, because it introduces elements but doesn't really take them anywhere. So at this point I'm starting to get worried, and especially with how far through the season we are, because we know there isn't going to be a second season. Sorry, spoilers, but I think everyone knows that in advance. We're just going to get Galactica 1980 instead. So much as with the Pegasus storyline, I don't know whether this was set up for something to be resolved later as we started to get more and more mystical as their quest towards Earth progresses or not. I don't know. So yeah, this all did feel very much unresolved. And also, Baltar, is he still a prisoner of the Galactica? Is this going to be followed up with in the next few drama segments, or is it just going to be a bit weird? I don't know. Definitely some intriguing, some strange ones here, so be interested to see what they're going to do next, or whether we're just going to go back to Western of the Week. I don't know. As ever, looking forward to hearing your take on this, and I take my leave of your chat record now by your podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I don't know that he is behind the Cylon War, because what Baltar says is that the first Imperious leader, what's his face, created him 1,000 years ago, and then he goes, and then he says, Count Duckula says, but then that must make me 1,000 years old. As well, they say Yarans, but as a way of trying to get him to disbelieve it. But then he would be 1,000 years old, wouldn't he? Because he'd be from the race of immortals. So
he's obviously got some connection with the Cylon race. But yeah,
I don't think he was directly causing the Cylon War. I think he created the first Imperious leader. I think is the implication from the conversation.
He's got some relationship to the Cylon race. That's all we get told, because it's all mystery and nothing is actually explained.
Well, don't look.
And I think Lama's right. I suspect this was something they were going to explore in season 2. Whoops.
Yeah.
Bad plan. Yes, but they do get the coordinates to Earth, so that's a bit of progress on the plot. So they really do need to be setting off now, don't they? We shall see.
Yeah, but at least you do get a bit of continuity in there, whether it was by design or not. I don't know, but what did Drew and Tracy make of this?
So we just watched Battlestar Galactica: War of the Gods Part 1 and Part 2.
We did.
And what did you think of that?
I really enjoyed it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I know you were having a right moan all the way through. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Give me your good points on that one then.
Okay. Patrick McNee. Is that Patrick McNee?
Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick McNee. He's good. He's really good. He's oozes
freaky
sinisterness, isn't he?
I'll give you that.
He's really good, actually.
Well, he was the devil at the end of the day.
I know, yeah. I don't know. He was oozing sinisterness. It was like
Count Ibley.
Yeah, it was just, I like all the metaphysical stuff of it, like, he was the devil or whatever, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's good when at the end when they were shooting him and he was turning into the devil.
At first I thought he was turning into like a pig face.
Yeah.
And then you said, oh no, he's like a devil.
Yeah, it was kind of like
At first I thought he was a Cylon, because he looked like he was wearing a kind of a helmet.
Yeah.
He looked like a Cylon, but I don't know, I really didn't get this.
I liked the fact that when Boltar recognised his voice as the leader,
Ultimately, it's not the ultimate leader, is
Imperious
it?
leader,
yeah.
The white guys at the end, what were they? Were they like angels or whatever?
Well, this is what I wrote.
I like this kind of stuff. It's like a bit off like the beaten path of sci-fi, but I like this kind of weird.
Yeah, but I said to you,
stuff.
The writers of these 2 episodes must have been tripping off their bollocks, because this was just like. If I said it once, I said it about 20 times during this episode. What the fuck?
I know. I think back to like whenever this was released, at late 70s, and it was on TV, and like 3 or 4 weeks ago, they was watching like a western in space, and now they're watching this. People must have been going, "What the hell is this?"
And there's a couple of points. First of all, I cannot let this go without mentioning the uniform for is it Triad game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck was that about? So the shortest of the shortest shorts, and they managed to fix a box in them pants. Well, Boomer certainly did.
All like swimming trunks for men in like the 70s and that. They were just the tiniest things ever.
But there was absolutely no need for that kind of uniform. It wasn't. I did say to you, what the fuck are they wearing? And just what? So the filter. When they went down onto the planet,
like the red
one
filter,
minute they were like all grey and like the grass was
It used to be
pink.
like there's a Tron, didn't there? Yeah.
Yes. And then nothing. They kind of flipped back to normal.
I know.
It was like, what, did they only have like money to put like 2-minute filter or 2-second filter on?
Maybe.
And then they kind of flipped back to the filter, and then they were clearly, when you saw Patrick McNee for the first time, Starbuck, Sheba and Apollo were clearly standing in front of a picture, which was fuzzy. It was like
it wasn't even
a real
good
blurry picture.
high definition picture.
It was just, what the fuck? See, that I've said it about 4 times in like 2-minute feedback, but I was saying it all the way through this episode. I was like, what? So Starbuck and Apollo, they can't do anything separately, can they?
No, they're right buddies, aren't they?
Apollo's going on a secret mission, but Starbuck's like, take me.
What didn't you like about it?
Oh, what didn't I like about it? I've just kind of gone through that. I just thought it was really trippy, and
it was trippy and weird,
stupid, and Patrick McNee, like, look into my eyes, look into my eyes, go around the eyes, look into my eyes. It was kind of like a devil. I said to you at one point, he's like Count Dracula.
You know what, I was going to say this. That's the clue is in the name. No one who's called Count something is ever a goodie,
That's
is he?
very true, actually.
He's never a goodie.
They're always a bad bastard, aren't they?
I know.
Yeah. No, I didn't like this.
I really enjoyed it. I've got a bit of a soft spot for these kind of 70s weirdy kind of films and stuff like that. I liked it. I really enjoyed this, actually.
I also think they didn't conclude what's happened to Boltar, because Boltar surrendered and
he's in prison.
Yeah, but they
I'm hoping this is going to carry on.
Well,
we might find out in the future.
But then the Cylons are only going to come and kick his ass and like fucking come and get him.
Maybe.
No, I didn't get this one, so I didn't like it.
I liked it.
Well, I'm glad you got something out of it.
Let's leave it there, though.
All right then.
Okay.
Leave it.
Yep.
Take it easy. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
I think Tracy's on our wavelength.
Yes, I think so. But yes, it is weird.
Yes, very trippy. And the name Count, there isn't such a thing as a good Count.
Well, the only one I can think of is Count from Sesame Street.
Count Von Count.
Yes.
And even he's a vampire, isn't he?
I know, but he's not. He's just a counting vampire. 1, 2... 3 confusing plot points. Yes, a bit off the beaten path. Blimey, this is so off the beaten path. You're in the ocean, I think.
Yeah.
And why does the devil have a pig face in this? I don't understand.
No, I don't.
Why did they go with that design?
No, and I think they probably were all tripping off their bollocks.
And very different to westerns in space.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can quite imagine the viewership going, what are we watching?
Yeah.
So, does Purry have any theories about what this all means? Let's find out.
Hello, Args. Purry here to talk about the Battlestar Galactica episode War of the Gods. I'm going to cover both, just the whole story in one, because I kind of watched it in a blitz. Weird stuff starts happening, lights flying around. We see Boji again. Yeah, it's Boji and Jolly. And, oh no, both Boji and Jolly have gone missing. While searching for them, the crew find none other than Patrick McNee. I quite liked his outfit. Not as in I thought it was stylish or nice, I just liked the fact that it had echoes of the colonial universe, as the central medallion. It did look like what someone posher than Adama might wear. And indeed, the episode kind of goes through. The first part is very much, I can't remember, was it Count something or other? Count Ibley? I'm going to call him Count Nibbles. Count Nibbles, kind of going through, ingratiating himself with the crew, performing miracles, but the problem is Patrick McNee plays the evil. Patrick McNee can be really jovial and jocular when he wants to be. Anyone who's watched the Avengers knows this, but he does play it with a sense of menace, which is well done, but sadly kind of plays their hand quite well. That, yeah, he's evil. Basically, he's Satan, fallen angel, so we're getting a lot of religious symbolism here. We have angels, we have a fallen angel, we have someone being doubted 3 times, we've got temptations, he's performing various things, so there's lots of religious subtext lurking about in this episode. One of the things that got me, Sheba, so he kind of mesmerises Sheba, and the way we can tell Sheba's mesmerised is partly she looks quite stupidly vacant, which was weird, but the other thing, for a good chunk of it, she dressed as a French peasant girl. Didn't quite know why she did that. But that was part of her being hypnotised. Now, this did actually include, I think I mentioned it on Twitter, this included 2 of my favourite sci-fi tropes, particularly from late 70s science fiction. We had bemusingly weird future sport in Triad, I believe it was called, which involves throwing a ball into a hoop, but for some reason doing it in really, really weird outfits. I almost joked that they'd thought the game was going to be played by women the way they designed those outfits, and didn't have time to change them when they realised that they were going to have to squeeze Richard Hatch and Dirk Benedict into them. Yeah, tiny pants, and you do a ring of roses, you jump off walls, and you can sort of throw the ball and bounce it, but it's kind of basketball-y, but not. Yeah, I love weird and indecipherable future sports. Love them. The other thing we had was some weird future disco. Oh god, I love future disco. We know this well from Buck Rogers, but yeah, for some reason people thought in the future you wouldn't be dancing, you'd need a prop. So what are they doing? They're dancing with something that looks like a curtain tie back or something, your ones that pop up in middle-aged hotels where they think a bit of gilded rope might make it look posh. What's funnier is this is initially the background, and in the background it's funny, but later on we get to see Richard Hatch really uncomfortably doing this horrible future disco, and that made the episode for me. Story-wise, it's kind of, what surprised me with this was it's really talky, and I think they were trying to do something a bit more intellectual, and they kind of carried it off. It was maybe slightly slow and a wee bit dull, but I was always following it. I think the problem is, I think if you'd been a bit more unsure about Patrick McNee's motives, then I think they were trying to do kind of a balance between, are the things that are absorbing all the pilots, are they evil, or is it Patrick McNee? Sadly, I think he maybe played it a bit too evil. Also, you had, mesmerising and that sort of thing. I think if you hadn't had the him Sheba plot, and if he hadn't constantly threatened to kill people, that was a biggie. Actually, that's a dead giveaway. I think those 2 things could have made it a bit more ambiguous. Things that I thought were quite a lot. Obviously at the end, they face him down, and Apollo then asks Patrick McNee, or was it Count Nibbles, what does God want with a starship? And because he doubts him, he gets zapped. And they asks, does Starbuck believe in him? And Starbuck says he doubts any god who inflicts pain for his own pleasure, and he gets zapped. And then Sheba says, who are you? You're not the god of Shaka... No, wait, hang on. It went to Star Trek V place, which I'm sure will thrill you. So, yay. And then finally they end up in the Angely ship. And again, I know I talk a lot about appreciating effort, but they spray painted a whole bundle of their stuff white. The budget's not huge. That's like 3 uniforms down. Although I did notice Sheba had heels. How come Sheba's uniforms got heels? But they spray painted 3 uniforms white just so they could do the spooky ethereal heaven bit. And Apollo can rise from the dead after he's died for our sins, like Captain Kirk did in Star Trek V. I'm getting a bit confused. We're maybe too close to Easter and I've had too many Cadbury's cream eggs. So overall, I liked the attempt at this to do something a bit mystical and a bit more talky. That if you look at it, no part of this ever really had there weren't any space battles in this. At no point where Vipers flew around a bit, but there weren't any dogfights. I also did like, I think it was Lucifer, who said that he hoped that that the angel things were a new human weapon, because otherwise there's something even more terrifying out there. I quite like that from the Cylons, and indeed acknowledging that they've used Patrick Kennedy's voice for the Cylon Great Leader. I thought that worked quite well, that basically he might have been behind it. So, although again it did play the hand, but overall I think this was decent. Maybe I preferred Living Legend, but I think this was still good enough. I'm quite happy with it. So all that remains for us to say is do keep up the good work. I always look forward to the podcast, and I hope to feedback on the next episode. Until then, bye for now.
Bye,
Thank you.
Yes, Richard Hatch did not look comfortable doing the skipping dance.
No, he did not. And yeah, I don't know quite why she was dressed as a French peasant girl. Really?
No. Particularly that you noticed the meal at the end where you got Apollo and Starbuck in dress uniform and she's wearing this flimsy dress thing. And why is she not in a bloody dress uniform?
Yeah. And you did have bemusingly weird future sport with tiny pants and ring a roses.
Yes, well, I'm glad that made you happy anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not a patch on Star Trek V, let's be honest.
Who doubted 3 times? You mentioned someone doubted 3 times.
Well, they ask him to do 3 different things. It's not quite the same as doubting 3 times, is it? I mean, the temptation, there aren't really temptations there. They're more there because they're tempting, they're getting him to do things. So it's like putting him to the test. But yeah, it doesn't really work from a Christian biblical standpoint. I suspect if we knew about Mormonism, this might be ringing big bells.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should buy... No, I can't face buying a copy of the Book of Mormon, sorry.
No.
Dear.
No.
I've got other things to do with my life, to be honest. Like watch Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you, Purry.
Thank you. Right, we shall be recording on a Wednesday next time because we are recording in Holy Week, and Good Friday is a bit busy for me. So, yes, Wednesday the 17th of April, we shall be covering The Man with 9 Lives.
He's a cat.
Basically. And Murder on the Rising Star. Ooh, a murder mystery. Haven't had one of those yet.
Oh, are we going to get Poirot?
I doubt it somehow. Yes, I expect Apollo and Star will be called in to solve the mystery.
Oh, okay.
Yes, with Starbuck playing the Scooby-Doo role or something. I don't know. But anyway, yes, back to single parters. Who can say how that's going to turn out? Well, we'll find out in just under 2 weeks' time, won't we? Yay! Well, you never know what you can get from week to week with this. It has to be said, do you?
No.
So until next time, cheery by your leave.
Cheery by your leave.